everyone, we are using this video to show what or how you can correct your own work for the normal curve warm-up from the other day. So starting with number 1, Mr. Adair would really like his lap times to be consistently between 1.75 and 1.85 minutes. What proportion of his laps were in this range? So first thing we always do is we start with our notation. And then that is the capital N with the mu and the sigma. That's required. If you look back at your notes, that is number 1, part of number 1. And then the other part of number 1 is to have the unstandardized curve and shaded. So I'm going to write the word shaded in the shaded region. And so that's all part of number 1's requirement for showing your work on a free response question. So the unstandardized picture with the normal notation labeled and shaded. And then we also want you to have your z-score work. That's what I'm going to label over here. And then we call this other picture the standardized curve, which we also want that notation labeling that curve, which is always n0 and 1, because the standardized curve is the curve that represents the z-scores. And so once you find your 2 z-scores for this particular problem, you can put them on that curve really quickly. And that is what we use when we use table A. We also want you to write table A down like I did here so that you can show where you've got your answers. And then show your work. In this case, we subtracted, so I want you to show that work to see where we got our final answer. So typically when I write a math answer key, like for pre-calc or for another math class I've taught, I would highlight the final answer, and that way everyone could see it really quickly. I don't do that in AP statistics because the final answer is just one of the pieces of the whole entire free response question. So everything I'm labeling is required for you to show to get full credit on your exam. If you just put the final answer, if you think about all the other things I'm saying you should do, you would only get 1 point out of like maybe 10 or so. And so you really need to make sure you do all of these things if you want to get full credit on your test. I'm going to add the word shaded in to this one too. We want them to both be shaded. So that's the first one. Make sure you look over yours, and everything that's in red you should also have on your paper, not in red, but you should have done that part of the process. And if you didn't, you would lose points on your test for that. So make sure you correct it and don't make that mistake again when it counts for formal points. We're going to skip to number 4 since that's all you were asked to do on your warm-up. And so we're going to label this one as well the same way. Again, I have my unstandardized curve. And many of you might think it's overkill to do this over and over for each one, but that is what we are asking you to do right now. We have the notation. Both of those are required. And then we also have this area right here labeled / shaded. I don't like to shade it, or it's the same thing as shading it just by putting the 0.03 in there. I wrote table A down. I want you to see that. I want to see that on your paper as well. And then what I put up next to table A is what I was looking for in table A. I was looking for 0.0300. And so many of you might have done 0.97. And that was what we did last time when after the top 10%, we subtracted from 1. This is asking for the fastest 3%. So it's important when you draw this that you put it in the correct spot down here, because if someone's faster than someone else, then their time is lower. So it should be on the left-hand side of the graph because it's a lower amount. So it should be below average. And that is a tricky idea, but in races and things, we want to be smaller rather than larger. And so we want to keep it 0.03, and we're looking for the closest thing to 0.0300. When you look in table A, I'll just make sure everyone knows how to do that. So this is not the right side because we have a bunch of high numbers over here. So we want to look at the negative side. And remember, this picture should always help you because it should look like the picture should match your picture, how you shaded it. And so in this case, like 0.03 would fit right there fine. And so that's what we really want to consider. This picture would not be appropriate because it's not on the right side. So this one matches. We're looking for 0.03, and I've already done this before, so I have it boxed. The closest 4-digit number to 0.03, and then we go out, that's negative 1.8, and up 0.08, so that's where I got the negative 1.88 from. And so here we have our z-score work. We need that to be on your paper. Here I have my standardized curve. We need that to be on your paper with notation. So I'm going to keep adding that, and then we have our final answer here. We don't need to see all your math here. We just need to see your z-score work formula filled in, and then we can assume that you knew to multiply by 0.07 and then add 1.84. That's not the kind of work we need to show. But we need to show our z-score formula, and then the rest can be inferred. So hopefully that went all right for you guys. If you would pause, and if you can do numbers 2 and 3 if you haven't already, and then you can use this video to check your work on those. I'll just show those briefly for you to look over. You can pause at any time so you can see them. I'm not going to write on them in the red because I already did that for 1 and 4, and it'll all be the same things. So hopefully we can look at mine and see all those things that I labeled to know how to get full credit for your test. So we'll start with number 2. Faster than 1.72 is shaded to the left. And so remember, faster is less than in a race. So I have my unstandardized curve first with notation, my standardized curve second with notation, my z-score formula and filled in. That's my work. And then table A with the answer. You can pause to check over it. I'm going to move on to number 3. For number 3, did it take more than 2 minutes? So I have my unstandardized curve with the notation shaded. I have my z-score formula with the answer. Then I have my standardized curve labeled and shaded as well with the notation. And then I use table A with that z-score to find the answer. Notice on this one, I got 0.9890 in table A, and that's because when I looked at 2.29, that is 2.29, 0.9890, but remember that is always area to the left. And this question in particular was asking for more than 2 minutes. And so anytime it's more than, you're going to subtract your answer from 1 after you use the table. So, but I just like, for myself, I use the pictures to help guide me on when do I know, how do I know when to subtract and when to not. Your picture is the guiding answer for that. All right, so now you can stop watching this video and we will continue working on review for your test. Please let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.